Most people don't know this, but North Dakota is unique in the country. We are the only state without voter registration. We also have what I believe to be the best voter ID citizen voting law in the country. So you can do both, and it was seriously helpful to make sure we could get the bill in a place where it didn't affect 400,000 of my constituents, every primary and every general. And with that, I'd yield to you.
I thank my friend from North Dakota, and I was proud to work with him and the rest of my colleagues to make sure that the bill is comprehensive in its impact and what it's trying to attempt to do, but also frankly avoids a lot of what is being alleged that it would do. Ms. Mitchell, if you might respond to some of the allegations that were just made, the bill specifically contemplates ensuring through its own text that those that are naturalized would get materials, there'd be a requirement under law that the federal government would get those materials to states immediately, so it would avoid the problem of those who are naturalized having not have the documentation necessary, as well as providing for a mechanism by which an individual can go and register to vote with the sworn affidavit of those that are there in the officials in the local government, acknowledging that they've done what they need to do to present the information. In other words, we provide every means possible. Would Ms. Mitchell agree with that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and I think that one of the things that's really important is to actually read the bill. And if you read the bill, then you will understand that there's a whole laundry list of types of documentation that can be used, and there are a couple of fail-safe follow-ups, and then there's a catch-all, which is, or any other reasonable approach that the election officials may decide. There's really no reason to make that the boogeyman. The problem is that we have a very porous voter registration system in this country, right, and we have to do something to protect the integrity of our elections.
Would you agree that the construct under the SAVE Act is far less onerous than that of numerous states, including New York, Pennsylvania, and other states, in terms of what they have to do for driver's licenses, for example?
Well, yes, and here's the other thing. Congress passed the Real ID law years ago, and in order to get a Real ID, you don't have to be a citizen, but you do have to provide either your citizenship data or you have to provide your paperwork showing that you're in the country legally, that you're a permanent resident with a green card. So Congress has already addressed the issue in a context with which Congress cared about, which is that we want to protect federal buildings, federal military installations, and commercial aircraft from people who we want to know who they are when they're entering those facilities. And so Congress has already taken the step to identify a process, and I don't know why voting should be any less susceptible to improper.
I agree. Secretary Byrd, I'd like to turn to you, and I appreciate you being here again and illuminating how you guys are engaging with it in Florida. Does the Constitution give states primary jurisdiction over elections?
It does, Article 1, Section 4.
If the state of Florida passed a law requiring proof of citizenship to register to vote in federal elections, if they did that right now, without the SAVE Act, would you be able to enforce that law under existing law and precedent?
We would not. We'd be in violation of the NVRA.
And can you explain that quickly for the average viewer?
Sure. Well, the NVRA prohibits states from requiring citizenship documentation on the front end when somebody registers to vote. So we are in federal courts and interpreting the NVRA. Most recently, the United States Supreme Court has said that we cannot require that proof of citizenship. We have to add the person to the rolls, and then only on the back end do the list maintenance. And so in essence, we're playing whack-a-mole with people who we've seen repeatedly register and removed because we can't require the information on the front end.
Am I correct that Florida was only able to really truly gain access to the SAVE system because you sued to do so?
That is correct.
So states have barriers in order to get to the federal government, in order to get the information necessary to determine who citizens are in the first place, correct?
That is correct.
Florida sued in order to gain access to the SAVE system, but am I correct that the SAVE system is still inferior in terms of you being able to have access to the information needed to check citizenship?
Woefully inadequate, untimely, it costs the states money, and many times we don't have the information necessary from the individual attempting to register to vote to gain access, which then we don't have the verification, even when we do have access to it.
So without the SAVE Act, can you, as Secretary of State, be as confident as you feel you should be that we know we do not have citizens voting in the state of Florida, non-citizens voting in the state of Florida?
It makes it very difficult to fulfill my constitutional duties.